Hello, it's Ashley here from Paper&Twine. I'm just coming on today to show you my white chocolate truffles with Cointreau. I haven't made these for a very long time, so we'll have to see if they work. But what you're going to basically need is 300 grams of white chocolate, 120 millilitres of double cream, 30 grams of butter and 2 tablespoons of Cointreau or liqueur of your choice. You could leave it out if you wanted to. If you wanted the orange flavour, I'm sure you could use a little bit of orange juice. So I've got my Cointreau there, I've got my double cream's measured out, I've got my chocolate chopped up in a glass bowl, and I've got my butter here. I've weighed this, it's 120 grams, so I know I need about a quarter of it. This is the chocolate I'm using today. It was all I could get at the time. It stupidly comes in 180 gram packets, so I've used 2. So I've got more than 300 grams. I might have had to have a sneaky little taste, but yes. What you're then going to want to do is put on a pan of water to come up to the simmer. So I've just got this heating away, and when it is up to not ferociously bubbling but kind of simmering, I'm going to pop my bowl with the chocolate in on top to melt. So I'll come back to you when we're at that stage. So you can see that my water is just coming up to the simmer now, so I'm going to put my bowl on top and I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit because I want to melt this quite slowly. I don't want it to boil. And I'm going to pour in my cream, making sure I get every last bit out. And I'm going to add my butter, which I've measured out, and we're going to just let that gently melt away. Obviously, the bigger your chunks of chocolate, the longer time it's going to take to melt, and I should perhaps have cut my butter into chunks as well. White chocolate is notoriously hard to melt, which is why I'm not doing this in the microwave. If you felt brave enough, you could obviously melt it in the microwave if you wanted to. If you don't like white chocolate, because some people don't, they find it very sweet, you could use any chocolate of your choice. This would be nice with milk chocolate, it'd be nice with dark chocolate. I've done dark chocolate with a little bit of chili powder in before now, and that's rather nice if you're making chocolates for, well, for anybody, but I think they'd be particularly nice for a man. And as I said, I'm giving these as a gift. Well, some of them. This should make about 30 truffles, depending on how big your truffles are. Yes, that's starting to melt now. I'm going to turn it down a little bit more because I can hear that bubbling away quite ferociously, and as I say, I want to melt this quite slowly. Give your chunks a stir. And you can see it's just starting to melt now. The butter is giving me a run for my money. That's not melting. I might have put a little bit too much butter in actually. I've used unsalted butter here, but I think salted would work just as well. You know, I like a bit of saltiness with my sweetness. Yeah, that's starting to go. As I say, obviously the smaller your chunks, the quicker it's going to melt. And I'm just constantly stirring, and I am going to add the Cointreau in a minute. I've said 2 tablespoons, but I might add a little bit more. Just waiting for this butter to melt, and give that a really good stir. I'm using a wooden spoon, I suppose you could use a metal spoon if you wanted to. And just, you know, you need a little bit of patience really. Other flavourings that might be quite nice with this, if you didn't want to put your Cointreau in, a little bit of amaretto maybe. If you wanted to avoid the alcohol altogether, something like a little bit of vanilla extract, or some rose water, or orange blossom water would be nice. You could grate a little bit of orange zest in, that would be quite nice as well. Almost there, almost there. I've just got a little bit of butter which is fighting back. Melt, melt, I tell you, melt. It's nearly there, nearly gone. Can you see it there? Look, it's just there. A little bit of stubborn butter. I'm going to bash it with my spoon. And there we go. Still a little bit of butter left. I'm going to measure in my Cointreau. Now apparently the flavours will be stronger when your mixture is chilled. There's 1 tablespoon. And another tablespoon. I do like a bit of Cointreau. What's the other orangey liqueur? I'm going to actually take that off the heat now and beat that in. So I'll be back in a minute. So I've taken my mixture off the heat and I've actually found an orange, and I'm going to grate a little bit of orange zest in, just for a bit of extra orangey flavour. You don't have to do this, but I just thought I'd try it. I've never done it before, and we'll see what it's like. I shall eat that orange later on. Looks nice, the colour, doesn't it? So give that a little stir. Those little flecks of orange. And I'm going to just give it a little taste. I've got a clean spoon here. Now, at the moment I can't taste the Cointreau, and I really want to taste the Cointreau, so I'm going to put another tablespoon in for look, and we'll see how we go. The alcohol does kind of separate the mixture a little bit, so you're going to need to give that a really good beating in. But adjust the flavours to suit your taste, and if you're giving these as a gift to the person that you're giving them to. So you can see I've got a very nice sloppy glossy mixture there, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this with some cling film, and when it is cool I'm going to pop it in the fridge and check on it after a couple of hours, so I'll come back to you then. So I got my mixture out of the fridge a couple of hours ago. Well, after 2 hours, you can see where I've tested, and it was not firm enough. So I've given it a good 6 hours. I would recommend that you check every couple of hours or so, because you don't want it to go too hard. And I hope you can see, I'm just getting a spoon and I'm spooning a mixture into my hands and rolling it into a truffle shape. I've got a plate here lined with baking paper, and I'm just going to repeat the process. This is a bit sticky. Some people put a little bit of vegetable oil on their hands to prevent the mixture sticking, but I'm just going to rinse and repeat, as Babby should say. That's a little bit big, that one. And I'm going to keep going until I've used up all of my truffle mixture. As I say, it is supposed to make 30. I think the size that I'm making them we might be lucky if we get 20. So I'm going to come back to you when I've finished and show you what they look like. So my bowl is empty now, and I managed to get 29 truffles out of that mixture. It would have been 30 if I hadn't eaten the spoonful that hadn't set up properly. And you could make yours prettier and more uniform than mine. What I'm going to do now is pop these in the fridge to set up in this shape overnight. If you were in a hurry, you could freeze these for about 30 minutes. So these little beauties have chilled overnight. They've had a good 18 hours probably. No, maybe not that. Yeah, about that. Yeah, so I've started to coat them in some cocoa powder. You want the best cocoa powder you can afford, really. If you didn't want to coat them in cocoa powder, you could melt some more chocolate and dip them in chocolate, but that was a little bit time consuming for me. So I've just gone ahead and I've sieved some cocoa powder into a bowl, and all I'm going to do is take my truffle, and they peel off this paper quite easily, and I'm just going to roll it around my cocoa powder mixture and pop it in one of my cases, and just keep going until I've covered them all. I've kept the other small plate in the fridge because you don't really want these to warm up too much, although I suppose if they're slightly warmer the powder will stick a bit easier. Other coating ideas, you could use icing sugar. I'd sift it first. I did sift this cocoa powder to prevent lumps. You can see how rustic my truffles are. I'm sure that if you take a bit more time rolling them into balls, you can get more consistent shapes and sizes. But I think this just shows that they're handmade, doesn't it? Yeah, so icing sugar could work. You could use hundreds and thousands or other little sprinkles. You could use chopped nuts. Of course, you'd have to check that the recipient is not allergic to nuts. And yeah, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to choose 18, I think, consistently sized truffles and take some measurements and make my own little box, and I will come back and show you what they look like when I've finished. So my truffles are all in their little cases, and I've made this little box. Here's the lid. If you want to know how I made the box, I'll pop a tutorial on for you tomorrow, but I used the Stamperia 8x8 paper pad, the Sweetie collection, and there is my lid going on, and there is a little present for my mother-in-law. These are going to go in the fridge because they have got cream in them, although I'm sure the alcohol will preserve them a little bit, but they're going to go in the fridge to keep cool. I hope you enjoyed this cooking tutorial. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I'd really appreciate your support. Thanks very much now. Bye.